What's up, everybody? Let's get Instagram on here as well. Oh, we're just doing a little live Friday nights. We're watching some football. That Utah USC playing. It's a close game, fourth quarter, and I'm tying up some of these unweighted schloppen buggers. Now I don't know if it's still called a schloppen bugger, but I was in Sportsman's Warehouse and found this really neat. It's Strung Rooster saddle long. And so what's cool about it is it's olive. It's kind of got a dark olive you can see right here, but then it's also got on the other side, it's a lighter olive. So you can see now they're dark. So it's really cool feather that I really like how it was dyed. And so I figured we would have a little bit of fun with it. Hope that's okay with everybody. So let's go ahead and get this started up. So I just got some Semperfly wax thread in an 8/0. This is white. Got a size 8 hook in the vise. And Danny called me a chicken. I don't know if I approve of that message, but we'll go ahead and start this wrapping down the shank of the hook. I'm going to probably do 2 of these. We'll see how I'm feeling. It also depends how the football game's going, because if it gets any more intense, I may have to just stop. All right, so what I got here is I got 4 of those feathers. You can see how dark olive those are, and then they're kind of light on the other side. They're very unique. I don't think we're getting the, let me see if I can get a good contrast photo for you. You can see the dark right here, and then you got some of the lighter backsides down there. So really cool feather. What I'm going to do is we're going to use this as our tail. And so I'm going to have it be a little bit long, and we'll go ahead and tie that in about 1.5 times the length of the shank. And I'll do about 3 wraps, waste this feather, and then I'll grab the other one. And I'm making sure that the light color is on the inside. And then I'll palmer this up. So you can see, to get a uniform body, what I'm doing is I tied in 3 wraps, cut it off, and then I tied in the next one, 3 wraps, cut it off, and then I'm leaving my thread where it's at. I'll do the same thing one more time on this side. So I'm just pinching it, 3 wraps, cut it off. What's up, Megan? Hey, what's up, William? And then I'll rotate it over here. I didn't adjust my thread back. I'm just keeping that, and I'll line that up, pinch it, and do 3 wraps. And look, I'm almost up to my hook eye. And what I did is I just created a semi-uniform body so that all my wraps were not, what's the appropriate word? I wasn't doubling up on my wraps. And I don't know how well you can see that, but that's pretty uniform right there. So I'm just going to cut out couple 3 strands of crystal flash here, run it the same length as that tail. I'll go ahead and tie that in on my side, and then do what I call the flying V, meaning I just pull that back. And I'm going to keep these somewhat on top. I lost a fiber, I think, right there. And then I'll just tie those in. So you can see those are tied in on the top side of each side of the shank of the hook. So that way they're uniform on each side, highlighting on each side. And there is our tail, all the same length. Okay, so for the body, those ones I tied in, they were a little bit more slender. You can see these fibers right here are not super long, whereas on this guy here, for a size 8, you can see the cores. This is, I would say, almost double the length. I want this to be a super, super schloppany, buggy bug. And USC just got a safety. Crap. I thought tying flies would bring good karma. All right, so I'll go ahead and tie that in by the tip. I'm going to grab some of this Semperfli wire. This is a 0.2 millimeter wire, just in gold. Roughly, what is that? 352 millimeters. I'll tie that in on the top side of the shank with some nice wraps. And what should I do for the body? Should I just use some chenille, or should we do some dubbing? I'll just do chenille for this one, but I'm always open to suggestions if I do another one. This is just a olive chenille here. And I'll go ahead and prep it by pulling it out so I got the cords, because we're trying to make this as slender as possible. So we'll go ahead and tie that in, advance our thread up to the hook eye. Fritz. I'm not doing Fritz on this one, man. Hoping to make it up into the winners one more time. So up there, they like those slender bodies. So I'll just palmer that around and making sure not to crowd my eye. I'd rather leave almost an extra wrap off than crowd the eye. And we'll go ahead and snip that out. And then I'll just clean up any weird hairs I have there, because this is just a non-weighted thread head. And so we want to kind of keep that as free of everything as possible. Okay. All right, now we come for our super, super messy fun part. Now, I wrapped it towards me, so with the hackle, I'm going to wrap away from me. That way the hackle is counter-ribbing the chenille. And I'll do one wrap right behind all that chenille. I'll do one wrap kind of close, and then I'll start spacing these out just a little bit. But I really want this to be pretty hackled, if that's a word. I think it's an adjective in a non-aggressive state of adjective words. And then as I get up here towards the eye, I'm going to do about 3 wraps right on top of each other. Trying to leave myself a little bit of room there at the eye so that we're not going to be crowding. And then I'll do 2 wraps to cover that up. 1 more wrap over it, and then pull everything back. And then we'll build up a small head there. And then I'll just do a small little half hitch right there so I don't lose my thread off of that. And we'll go ahead and trim this stem out. And then before I get too much of a thread base, I really just want to make sure that's secure. And so I'm going to do an actual whip finish. I'm not too worried about thread wraps, just because that head is going to be nice and big. Now, before you get too much in preening those back, remember we tied in some wire. And so what I'm going to do is wrap this wire the same way that I did the initial chenille. And I'm going to zigzag the heck out of this and trying my best not to trap down 1.5 million fibers. Could help to have what's up, Vet? How are you, man? Could help to have a bodkin handy just in the beginning for sure. And by doing this wire, we're basically increasing the norm durability that this will catch at least 2 fish before you snag it on a tree. Because that's how I roll. There's no sense in making them 30 fly fish for me. I snag on everything. I'm a guy that does 1 extra cast and loses it behind them. I always tell everybody, I don't really swear that often, but when I'm fly fishing, it's usually you want to keep your distance. And there we go. We go up there, and then I'm going to basically do a full wrap right there and then get a secondary wrap right there to help build up the end of that thread. I'll cross that. Being careful. And that's a nice head right there. There we go. Make it good. What's up, Bob? Sherpa Bob. All right, now let's advance back down to the hook eye. I think I got a Sharpie here. Let's do a little orangey head here. I'll just color this thread. If you got real good skills, you can color that white, but I want to avoid that because then it might go into the hackle. So then I'll just wrap this up and over. Got a lot of orange here, which is perfect. Then before you get to the white, you can see how you can't go too big with this head. Just got a little bit of white on my side here. Okay, and then you can see that was like a 40 turn head we just built up. And we'll go ahead and not watch the football game for 2 seconds and secure this. Bam. That's how it's done. So last step is just grab a little bit of UV resin. This is some Semperfly, and we'll go ahead and just put a little dab on there. You can use head cement as well. I just want to make sure it almost looks like a bead when I'm done. And then we'll just kind of push that around. And so I'm not actually ejecting any more out right now. I'm just using that tip to kind of spread it around. And it's pretty much like a small little glass bead at this point. And then I'm the score is 23-20 right now. Oh yeah, that is the money. Okay, now because we let's see, just went big. I know it's not looking good, dude. I can't believe it. Go ahead and brush this. You can be a little bit aggressive because we've secured this bad boy. So there we go. Pretty easy, unweighted. We used hackle for the tail. I probably might cut off a couple of these crystal flash. That's a little too much flash for the tail, in my opinion, which is weird me saying that. But that's just going to mat down real nice and give a really good pulse as it comes in on a slow, and then bam, go real slender. So there we go. Yeah, the Sharpie trick's nice. Tie woods. I generally tie mostly in white or black, and so it's really nice just to hurry and just grab a Sharpie. I always have them around. And USC just scored. Crap, this is not looking good. 7 minutes left.
Dang it.
I know, right? My boy's upset. I miss TV. I need to get something this fall. Now the fall season's here. Yeah, you do. But, it's probably better that you're not watching TV. So let me think. Let me just do one real quick so we can see a marabou tail difference. So same process. Hey, what's up from Russia? What's up from the U.S.? Back at you. So I happen to have a lot of olive colors out right now. We all know that olive doesn't really catch fish. So I'm just going to grab some of this olive strung marabou here. See if I can get a decent fluffy piece. There we go. There we go. I like that. That looks pretty good. So go ahead and tie this in up the shank. I'll trim it out at an angle so that we can taper that out. I'll deal with some of these loose fibers just by tying them in because I'm lazy. And then we'll pinch that tail. That looks pretty nice. So we'll clean up that body now, just real quick and easy. Doesn't have to look perfect. And I'm only doing this to show contrast. I figure the river is cheaper and better reception. The river's probably better for you. And sorry, Casey Bob, they don't make olive. Hey, Axel, what's going on, dude? Okay, they don't make olive power bait. So we just tied in the crystal flash, and I'll figure V it over that. And trim that out. All right. How's that bobbin? The bobbin's really nice. Feels very similar to a CNF. You can see very, very similar. This one, the CNF has the foam. This one does not. This one has an adjustable tube. This one does not. I'm trying different spools. I haven't adjusted these arms yet. It's a little loose for me right out of the box, but I don't want to adjust it because I'm trying a lot of different brands of spools to see if it's just one particular brand. So far, I'm thinking I just need to adjust them by bending them slightly in because I may like it a little bit tighter than some guys out there. I don't know. That's what she said. No, I'm kidding. That's inappropriate for that. Okay, so we tied that in. We got our schlappen feather. What am I missing? Wire. So we'll tie in that wire. Yeah, how's the fishing, Bob? How's the fishing? Is it good? You can pretty much just say it's never as fun fishing without me there because I bring all the fun. I mean, if I'm not there, it's like you guys just catch fish. There's nobody that's like getting skunked, so you don't have anybody to make fun of. So that's why you need me there, because I need to purchase one of those fly pole things. Yeah, I still got some shirts left. It definitely slowed down a little bit on shirts, but yeah, I'm not in it to really sell shirts. Just if anybody wants one, they're there. Going to Oregon's on my plan one of these days, hopefully. Never been up in that area. So if you want step by step on this, just watch the previous, like, when the live gets saved, just go ahead and watch that. And you can see why, how to do this step by step. And this will also be saved. It's streaming on YouTube. The advantage to YouTube is I can save it. Kimchaka, is that how you pronounce it? I would love to. I'd love to go fishing anywhere. I just love fishing. I would love to. I just want to go fishing right now. But it's been raining here all day, and I didn't really want to go night fishing because I'm supposed to be doing paperwork like always. But instead, I decided to jump on for a second while watching football. And the Utes are getting beat, so maybe I shouldn't have jumped on. So let's go ahead and secure that with some nice thread wraps there. Go ahead and do a little quick whip finish just to make sure, because it's a downward eye. I don't want to lose that. You won one of those fly rod things. I thought they were called fly poles. Was I wrong? Oh, yeah, that looks sexy. That's just sexy. So you can see I'm just preening those fibers straight up. It makes it a little bit quicker, hopefully, for weaving this in and out. And if you've never tied a woolly bugger, I fish these like crazy. This is pretty much what I love to fish. I love to tie them too because you can fill a box real fast. And it's a fly that I just know that I'm not wasting any time tying because this color scheme is just going to catch fish. I even have added rubber legs to this particular color scheme, and it's just crushed it at some lakes. Since this one may or may not get posted, I'm just going to make sure that wire last wrap was good. But normally the fish don't care. But since this is a live feed and I'm doing a comparison, I figure this might get posted. All right, so that is secure. Deschutes has been great. You've been spoiled. Yeah, I bet you have. That sounds awesome, man. Now, if you ever use flush cutters, a little tip is be super careful because that sometimes will cut my thread because they get so close. Especially, oh man, I've been drinking Halloween Mountain Dew, and it's almost as good as the Christmas Mountain Dew. Figured Casey Bob would like that. Okay, let's get this bad boy finished up so I can get back to football and paperwork. Oh yeah, this head was much cleaner than the last one. Except for I can't find my whip finish tool. There it is. I'm seriously the worst at this. And there we go. So we've got single turn whip finish. I'm not doing two because we're going to resin the head here. So I'll just put a little dab right here, just really slow squeeze as you're coming around this. Careful not to get it in the eye. And then on the second time around, I'm not even putting any resin out. I'm just using that tip to spread it around. And then I'll put that out of the way so we can cure it out. Oh no, we got Pete on here. We got Truman, Pete. Is that Sharpie trick something I don't know? Is it just an added hot spot? Yeah, just adding an orange head. That way, when I'm tying these on the next one, I could do red, I could do pink, and I don't have to change my thread. I typically tie in white for that very reason. But yeah, so let's do a comparison now. So here is the marabou tail, and here is the feather tail. So I see a lot more movement in the feather tail potentially. Marabou is just golden ticket because it's just going to go like this and taper perfectly. But the feathers already have a taper. The flash is going to get intertwined. Other than that, I think the fish have to decide which one's better. So maybe I'll put a poll up on my story to see what you guys think's better. But I fished this. I have confidence in this. I've only fished this a couple times, and it's worked out pretty good. So anyway, there's about 4 minutes left in the game, so I'm going to jump back onto the football game. So thanks for tuning in. Marabou's 100% better is what AB Outdoors says. So we'll have to, I don't know, does anybody else want to chime in on that? The question is marabou tail versus a feather tail. The other thing I would say is that the feather, because of this unique, adds more contrasting colors. But I don't really know if that would matter. I have fished 100,000 of, no, probably not that many of the marabou tail. So fly fur tail, never tried that. That probably seems more like a bait fish. It might taper very much. I don't know. I've never actually played with a fly fur, so I'd have to get your opinion on that. But I'm assuming it's like craft fur, and I don't know if I would personally put that as a tail on a bugger, but it could work. It's just a little bit sparse on the tips. Maybe fly fur is a little bit better. Thoughts on the dragon tail? They seem to fall apart every time. So there's a trick to that, and the trick is, I can show you real fast. If I can find my thing. I don't, there we go. Okay, so the trick to a dragon tail That's a mini. I was hoping to have a pack open. We'll just open this one. All right, so here's the trick. This is the ultimate way if you're using one of these store-bought ones versus making your own. And if you want to make your own, Brendan, his handle is at Kaminsky Flies. And on his story, he shows you how to make your own out of 2 strands of chenille and attaching a wiggler on the end. But what the label actually suggests is that you're supposed to melt the tail. That I found kind of helps, but not really. So I'll melt the tail, and then literally this whole section from my hand out, I cover in a UV resin, a thin or a flow by Loon, or bone dry. You don't want to use something like a thin. You want it to absorb into the cores. And then what I do is I take the UV resin and I poke it into the core and I put a small drop. And I do that every ½ inch all the way up until it gets to where the hook, it's tied in. And what happens is you let that soak in. I cure the whole tail very well. And then what I found that even when I've been fishing for like smallmouth or largemouth bass, even if they do a short strike on the tail and they actually separate the material, it only separates to the UV point. I've had very good luck with that happening. It still does pull off, but generally you're not losing the whole tail. But another option, Flyers Guild, is something that I've done, but I haven't tested yet because I haven't been using these as much for bass because I've been testing other things this year. Attach this onto a swivel clasp. So basically you're making a shank. You can either tie it to a 10 millimeter shank or onto a swivel clasp. You'd actually have to put a shank on the swivel clasp, otherwise you wouldn't have anything to tie into. But just a 10 millimeter shank, tie this onto it, tie on another one to just a 10 millimeter shank, tie on another one. You can have a yellow, orange, purple, every color tied onto a shank. And then on the back of your fly, so when you tie your fly, don't even put a tail on, just tie in a clasp, like a swivel clasp. So then you clasp on a tail, you fish it. When that tail's done, you throw it away, get out another one, clip it on. That was my theory until I did the math and I found out that each tail was going to cost me $2 or however much these things cost. I can't remember. And I was like, that's really expensive to just be blowing through tails. So that is an option for somebody if they have a hookup on the dragon tail. I don't know anybody that, if you're getting them for super cheap, if you are, I'll send you my address. You can shout them my way. But those are my solutions to the dragon tail falling apart. I'm not in any way, shape, or form an expert with the dragon tails, but I got really kind of mad when I spent all that time on a fly, and then the first time I was casting it, I had a short strike and I pulled it up and the tail was gone. The other thing is, if you lose a section of the tail, I actually basically tied a knot in the cord, and that way it was just a shorter tail. But that's something to do on the river if you don't have any other options. Or actually, I'm fishing them usually on the lake, but I know some people that have been making them. So I have an idea on how I want to make them, but it's just time. I get too distracted and I never know what I'm going to do when I get on the vise at night. I didn't know I was going to be at Sportsman's today and find this really, really cool color of hackle that I thought, you know what, I'm going to see how that looks. It's just literally dark, olive, and like light. I don't know if that's showing up as well. No, it's not. Doesn't do it justice. But I think you can see. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. It looks like my Utes are probably going to lose, so I'm going to focus on the game. But yeah, it would be nice if you could buy it that way. I'm sure somebody will do that. Huge fan of the contest. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad everyone else had fun. That's what it was all about. Having fun, trying something new. So hopefully you continue to try new flies, new patterns, and just don't tie the same thing over and over again. But thanks for tuning in. And if any of you missed this and want to watch it, it'll be on my YouTube channel and it'll be saved there. And it's a little bit more focused in on just the fly. So have a good night. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.